I don't want to give up on my country. I don't want to give up on my veterans, and I don't want to give up on the people, my community, my province, or my country. And so I believe in a stronger Canada, and I really want to see that happen for us. And I think we've got to look at the things that unite us, and it's more than just a flag. It's more than symbols. It's what do we have in common, and how do we help each other out? And that's what I love about the military. They help each other out.
Hello, friends. I'm proud to give a shout out to our sponsor, the Canadian Legacy Project. Veterans Affairs Canada is very limited in its service offering to veterans, so the Canadian Legacy Project has stepped up to fill the gap. CLP develops and delivers a full suite of free programs for Canadian veterans. CLP celebrates our veterans by offering meaningful support for healing and the transition to civilian life. Homes for Heroes, Business Boot Camp, Service Dogs, educational bursaries, equine therapy, and more are available through the Canadian Legacy Project. Find out more at CanadianLegacy.org. Hello, all you beautiful souls. Thanks for joining me for another edition of Operation Tango Romeo, the Trauma Recovery Podcast. Today on the show, we have Fraser Tolmie, Member of Parliament for Moose Jaw, Lake Centre, Lanigan, and the Conservative Party's newly appointed Shadow Minister of Veterans Affairs. Fraser brings a unique blend of military, municipal, and federal leadership to the role. Before entering politics, he served as an officer with the Royal Canadian Air Force, where he was a part of Canada's military pilot training program, and he holds a degree in war studies, strategic thought, and conflict resolution from King's College London. Prior to his election to Parliament in 2021, Fraser served as mayor of Moose Jaw from 2016 to 2021, after previously serving on city council. In Ottawa, he's been a member of the House of Commons Standing Committee on Veterans Affairs, where he's focused on improving services, benefits, and support for Canada's veterans and their families. His recent appointment as the Shadow Minister of Veterans Affairs reflects that ongoing commitment to those who have served our country. Welcome to the show, buddy.
Thanks for having me back. It's great to see you.
Yeah, man. Uh, we got a lot to cover today, dude. So
It's summer holidays. What are we talking about?
it's summer holidays. Well, we should talk more about motorcycles, but
Yeah,
we because that's
we
my favorite stuff.
we could talk about that a little bit later on.
Yeah, we could.
We can
Um,
incorporate it.
I just posted on my Facebook this deal where the judges or these lawyers, these government lawyers, are arguing that they owe veterans nothing. Did you see that story?
Yeah, I was actually at a wedding, a midweek wedding, and I don't want to say who because I really do care about them, and they are a member of parliament. But I was at a midweek wedding, and I got this flagged, and so we might as well open that up. Tell me a little bit about it, and then I haven't read the full article, so
I
but
haven't read it either. Everybody's been sending this to me.
yeah.
When the headline, and it was Global News that covered it too. I'm like, oh, good for you, Global. Every now and then, a blind squirrel finds a nut.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, right now hearing from glossing over, it doesn't sound very good, and I vehemently disagree with it. That veterans are they're owed a great deal, as not just in financial, but the respect of our nation. So it's disappointing. So we'll have to.
There really seems to be a gap there, and like as I've said to you in person, like I am not partisan when it comes to my show.
Yeah,
A lot of people think I am, and I understand that, but I just call balls and strikes as I see them.
yeah,
And hey, if you're doing a great job for the veteran community, then I'm clapping for you, you know.
yeah.
And I had Nishka Jardine on just yesterday, which was great. And she was correct when she said, um, that our veterans benefits are pretty good. She used the word generous, and I don't like that word because it's like it's a gift, and it's not a gift.
Yeah.
Like generosity is for a gift.
Yeah.
It's an entitlement,
Yeah.
right? Like you broke it, you buy it,
Yeah.
and so it's not generosity. It's respect. I
Yeah.
think would be a better way of saying it. So
Yeah.
our benefits are respectful, but getting the benefits is the trick. And when you hear the complaints from the veteran community, it's that's what it's all about. It's about try to get the benefits. It is something. It is so bad that I would say the majority don't even try.
Well,
That's what I see.
Mark, I just it's like I keep it's like I'm having the same conversation over and over and over again. And I had a couple of gentlemen come into my office on Tuesday morning. They're both veterans. They're both trying to get, um, uh, help, and they can't break through the system. And one of them is like it's classic. The one is trying to help the one veteran is trying to help the other veteran.
Yeah.
The one veteran that's trying to help the other veteran has been helping four or five other veterans get access to their benefits. And it's an ongoing system. And they sat down, and the one that's trying to help everybody else is just like, yeah, I'm entitled to some benefits, but I'm just not even going after them because I'm so sick and tired of dealing with the paperwork. But you know what? He's the one that's trying to help the other guys.
Yeah.
And I'm going, well, let's not give up on you. And he goes, but you know how long I've been fighting? And I just my heart breaks, right? I just hate hearing that. And I'm like, okay, well, let's reevaluate. And then with the other veteran, I don't want to speak out of turn, but he's like, yeah, I'm trying to deal with this, and I'm, concerned about my wife. And I just got on the phone and made a phone call to a doctor, local clinic, and we solved one of the problems. And he walked out of there feeling good. But it was a tiny problem that we solved when we've got a mountain of problems. And to hear this article that we don't owe anything, it's like, come on, let's be realistic here. You know, this if that was the case, then we wouldn't have Veterans Affairs.
It's funny. One of my best friends is not a fan of veterans. So we just never go down that topic, right? Love the guy to death. But I just try to listen and understand. He's like, well, there's lots of dangerous jobs out there, you know what you signed up for, kind of thing. So like I understand the perspectives of some people where they just roll their eyes when they hear the word veterans, like, oh, what are they whining about now? Um, like people that don't get it, I do understand. I think because they don't understand that it's not like any other dangerous job. It's not. It's not like working in the mines. It's not any of those things because none of those jobs you there's no other job where you put up your hand as a volunteer and say, "Take my life if that's what you need."
Yeah, yeah,
Like
absolutely.
everything I've ever had, everything I ever will have, it's yours for the benefit of others.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I just to go back here, I just wrote it down. What are you whining about now? I've never heard veterans whine.
No, me neither.
I've never heard veterans whine. All I've heard is veterans ask, ask for what is due to them. That is the only thing I have ever asked, and they don't go around. Oh, that's it. They've not had marches. They're not, they go around. They support each other. We talked about motorcycles. Well, there's Rolling Barrage. These guys are out riding across Canada on motorcycles for PTSD because they want to lift their brothers up, their sisters up. They want to help each other. They're not whining. They're asking for proper care and the entitlements that they're in that they deserve. And yeah, you know what? There are other dangerous jobs out there, but there are uh, systems in place that help those people if they were to be injured on the workplace, right? Or, company insurances. But, you know, they don't go in with that expectation of here I am, send me, and they could lose their life, you know, just walking down a street, standing on an IED, whatever, it's a dangerous job. It's a dangerous job. And you leave, on deployments, not knowing if you're coming back to see your family.
And it's
So,
not just the danger, it's the so you as you probably remember, I was in Croatia in
yeah,
94, so right in the middle of the war.
yeah,
And that's when the term was invented, ethnic cleansing. I don't know if it was ever used before then, but I'm pretty sure it was invented just for that, so that people wouldn't get upset by the word genocide.
yeah,
But it was a fucking genocide,
yeah,
period. Um, and what I saw and what some of my friends saw, eh, well, one of the jobs, okay, was guarding the body pits. So an entire dugout, like a great big dugout made by a bulldozer full of bodies, not bodies of uniformed soldiers,
yeah,
of children, grandpas,
yeah,
and dogs, and everything in between, right? And it's my friends that were guarding those body pits waiting for the UN inspectors.
yeah,
So extrapolate from there what that tour was like.
yeah,
You know, I was on call for, God, what was it, at least 2 weeks to do a body recovery. And I, all my friends, like so many of my friends have done previous tours, and they told me how to prepare for it, how to put the Vicks vapor rub in your nose, and you got to burn your clothes after because you
yeah.
can't get the smell out. That's not like any other job.
No, no. And then you know what? Then you get on an airplane and you come back. You want to see your family, and then you go into this kind of like what kind of, everybody's flipping on TV shows, Friends, and it's like a different reality, right? It's like what
Yeah.
did what did I just experience over here? And yeah, let's go down to Tim Hortons and grab a coffee, and yeah, and you're trying to equate the two, you know, situations that you've been in, and you're going, I've just seen a whole bunch of dead bodies that are in a pit that have been piled up, and then you want to sit down and watch a TV show and have friends over or do whatever, and you're like, what am I doing here?
Yeah.
What am I doing here? And on the conscience of people that go through that, they're going, I should be back there. I should be helping out. There's more to do. There's and it's not like, okay, I got to get out of this place because I can't do it. It's the other way around. They want to go back. They want to help more, and they feel guilty for the life that we live in a first world nation. So it's unbelievable.
When I got back, I did this road trip with the girlfriend I had at the time, and there was two moments where the contrast was really, really stark. Um, one was we're in Montana, and uh, we had pulled over, and then I'm looking at the ditch, and I'm like, "There's no landmines in here."
Yeah,
So I just started
unbelievable.
running like an idiot, running up and down and through the ditch, and
Yeah,
kind of giggling.
yeah,
And and it took everything I had to make myself do it. But that's why I did it. Like
yeah,
I did it because I knew it was safe. I was
yeah,
still terrified to do it, but I knew it was safe, and I just had to get over that hump in my mind. And she's looking at me running around the, like literally
yeah,
running
yeah,
up
yeah,
and down the ditch. And she's like, "What the hell you're doing? Why are you doing that?"
yeah,
And I said, "Because I can, and
yeah,
I'm not going to go boom."
yeah,
Right.
yeah,
Uh, and then the other one was at the Horseshoe Bay Ferry Terminal, and there's this like towers of glass and everything's pristine. And all of a sudden, it hit me like a ton of bricks. Nobody's got a care in the world.
yeah.
Like I
Yeah.
just came from a place that everything had a bullet hole in it, right? There were no buildings without glass shot out. Like everything was rubble and destruction. And here's this pristine, everybody's happy, there's no danger whatsoever, and there's no bullet holes, and everything is in just perfect shape, and it's clean.
Yeah.
And everybody's happy, uh, except for the miserable people that don't know how good that they have it.
Yeah. Yeah.
and and it hit me like a ton of bricks. I'm looking at these people have absolutely no idea. Like they're clueless.
It's a funny. It's not funny, but it's a correlation. I was at a church service a number of years ago, and I was listening to these missionaries, and they were talking about how they were in India, and they come back and they went grocery shopping, and both, the husband and wife just started crying in the middle of a grocery store because the abundance of food that we have, and there's people starving over there, and they couldn't, and that was their kind of form of PTSD, right? That they're, and I always took that and put that into the context of veterans, of what they've witnessed and what they see, and how they try and kind of like, it's I know we're one world, but it's just so different. And yeah, anyways, so
A friend of mine called used to call them the bubble people,
yeah,
and I think Fraser, like this is something I was thinking about earlier in our conversation. I just didn't know how to say it. Um, it's not a pejorative. It's not an insult to say the bubble people. It's just reality. Like
yeah,
you only know what you see.
that's right.
So in Canada, we haven't been punched in the nose uh, anytime recently. You know, the
Yeah,
closest thing would have been 9/11, and that was across the border.
yeah,
So people are walking around not knowing how good we have it. Like
yeah,
no idea how good we have it and how bad it can be and how fragile our society is. I mean, if the dollar collapses, well, guess what? That was the beginning of the Balkans. It was
yeah,
hyperinflation. So
yeah,
hyperinflation, the solution was war, and that has happened dozens of times in the last 100 years. So we're not
yeah.
immune from it at
No.
all. But people, oh, that'll never happen here. Oh, really? Why is that?
Well, yeah, and just we have had, we've not. You're right. We haven't had like a major conflict on our own soil. We've had where there's been incidents, and then there's people that go, well, why on earth would that happen here? How could they dare do that to us? And it's because it's they're isolated from what's actually going on in the world. And you know what? Sometimes as Canadians, we've got to stick our necks out and stand up for the right things. And there's going to be consequences. But you're right. Absolutely. Hyperinflation, you think it's not going to happen to us. I've never seen a world right now where it's so fragile.
Yeah, like it would take, well, look at COVID,
Yeah.
right? Somebody got the sniffles and the whole thing shut down.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like that, it doesn't take much.
Yeah.
Society is really delicate, and the people that can't see that the most are the ones that are the most susceptible to it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's yeah. Geez, like this conversation's going in different places that I didn't expect it to go in,
Me neither.
which is a good thing. But I think about my daughter. I mean, I was mayor when COVID was going on, and um, and even within my own household, right? Things were different. And so I was at work, I was doing whatever, and then things opened up, and I was out golfing, and I came home, and my daughter is like, "How was your day, Daddy?" And just she's just a little girl, and I'm like, "It was good." She goes, "What'd you do?" And I said, "Well, I went golfing." she burst out into tears, and she and it was like an adult, you know, talking to me. She goes, "It must be nice. I'm stuck in here with all, I can't see my friends at school, and I've got to only see them on computer." And my life changed like that. I was like, I've got a 6-year-old kid who is not being able to see her friends. And at 6, I would have loved not going to school, but it was within my own household. She was isolated and going through something where I was out, and I completely changed. I was like, okay, well, we're going to do things together. And I had the realization that my kid was going through something, and I needed to make a change in my life in order to, you know, live as an example, and go through what she was going through. And it was an eye opener for me.
And the heartless people that minimalize and trivialize um, the lockdowns
Mm,
like it was nothing, like it was a
yeah,
minor. One guy said it was just a minor inconvenience. Is that right?
yeah,
A
yeah.
minor inconvenience. A good friend of mine. So I was a respite worker for a few years.
Hmm.
I lived in a support home where I provided support for two mentally challenged men and looked after them.
Yeah.
Kind of like being a big brother, or kind of a parental role, making sure they took their meds, and sometimes they get scared, and just be there for support. 3 years I lived with them.
Mm,
One died from the COVID jab, from
yeah,
so a COVID injury, that, or a vaccine injury, sorry,
yeah,
that people say don't even exist. Well, it does exist. It's real. Because my friend, if he would have died right away, it would have been so much better.
hmm,
But oh no, first he had a massive stroke 6 days after,
yeah,
and at the age of 57, so a year older than we are now, and massive stroke. And then he suffered. He couldn't get out of bed. He couldn't do anything. Couldn't even hold his head up for a year.
yeah,
Then they gave him the booster shot and died the next day.
yeah,
So that's not nothing. And the whole time that he was in there, remember, I lived with him for 3 years as his caretaker.
yeah,
I wasn't family. He was calling for me.
yeah, yeah,
He was calling for me by name. Where's Mark? Where's Mark? I want to see Mark.
yeah.
This, his sister told me,
Oh man.
right? Called for me repeatedly for a year,
Yeah.
and I was not allowed to go see him. That's not nothing.
No. No. Yeah.
That's not
No.
nothing.
Yeah. Yeah. That's. I'm sorry. I'm sorry that you went through that, man.
Well, I'm sorry, my friend Leonard went through that,
Yeah.
and then I went to. He was a First Nations man. I had the honor of being accepted by his family to his traditional reserve, and me and my oldest boy went, and we were accepted like family,
Ah, that's
because
nice.
it was really something. It was a 3 day ceremony, so I
Yeah.
got to learn about that. It was really beautiful,
Yeah.
sad but beautiful. And then we
Yeah.
literally buried him. Like, there's a pile of dirt there, and everybody took turns on the shovel to
Right.
backfill the dirt.
Yeah.
It's it was really something.
Yeah. Oh man. Well, you said how much time we got. I think we could be doing this all day, buddy. Yeah.
So now that you've got this new role, and the irony is, here's a conversation you don't know about. So when I saw you at the Sam Sharp breakfast
Hmm.
later that day, Blake Richards had a little present for me,
Hmm.
which was a private meeting with Pierre Poilievre in this little flag room, somewhere hidden in the bowels of the House of Commons.
Yeah.
And so it was a private little one-on-one for like 5 minutes. During that one-on-one, I said, thanks for keeping Blake in this role for so long,
Yeah.
because we change ministers like we change our underwear. And that is seen as really disrespectful within the veteran community, because obviously we're the toilet bowl prize,
Hmm.
and prior to Blake, the shadow minister spot changed a lot.
Yeah.
Just a few months after I said, thanks for keeping him in this steady role so there's continuity of service, then he swapped it out.
Yeah.
So now it's you, but I'm glad it's you. Like if he's got to swap it out again, fine, but at least it's Fraser. So I'm happy about that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think there's been kind of like a little bit of a shift because Michael's actually in, and I'm just under Michael, so I'm his deputy. So Michael Barrett has taken the role in a capacity that I think is going to be very, very good for veterans. Uh,
I'm not following. So you're not the shadow minister? You're the
well,
deputy
I'm the
shadow
deputy
minister?
shadow, so I've actually maintained this. So I actually had a conversation with Pierre, and I said, I don't want you to move me. I don't want you to move me out of the Veterans Affairs because I think I'm one of one of the guys that is actually resonating with veterans. And he said, yeah. And so I've learned a lot from Blake. It was so I had Frank
Blake
Caputo.
did a good job.
Oh yeah, yeah. I
Blake
had
did a very good job.
yeah, I had
I'm like very
oh
pleased.
yeah, absolutely. So I had Frank Caputo, great
Hmm.
guy. Absolutely, we were both newbies. Um, and I'm learning the processes of what it, being a mayor, you're in kind of in charge and you're running meetings and what does it look like in a committee and what's it, the differences. And then we had a leadership change and Blake came into this role and Blake kind of opened my eyes to a lot of the processes and how we deal with things within the within the committee. And then I think Michael's going to bring in another, amount of professionalism. He's a veteran himself.
Is he?
Yes, yeah, Michael's a veteran himself. Uh, we've been kind of just back channel. He's married, lots of kids. I'm divorced, two kids, and busy, and we're trying to set up a meeting and just talk about what our strategy is for going forward in the fall, because there's a lot of things that are going to be coming up, the PCVRS renewal, contract renewal, and a lot. So I've maintained the deputy critic role, and I'm happy to do that because it gives me a lot of opportunity to do this and engage. And I did speak with uh, Pierre, our party leader, and talked about how um, I did not want to betray veterans. I didn't want to move, and I've had probably had this very similar conversation with you, where for far too long veterans have felt betrayed, and I don't care what party you're from, right? You know we've got to do a better job, and I will have conversations with the minister in our committee meetings, and I won't hold back. I will be fair and firm. That's what I will do. That's my job as a critic, is to be fair but firm and to advocate for veterans on the things that we've talked about, that they're entitled to and the way that they should be treated. And and then once that committee meeting's done, if I bump into the minister in the hallway, I'll ask her how she's doing. I think she's a very, very nice lady. Uh, but I don't particularly think she should be in that role. But uh, you know,
I can't think of a single veteran that is happy she's in that role.
Yeah, and I mean that's a different conversation. I mean, you're always sitting there thinking, well, I could do better, and I personally think I could do better as a minister for Veterans Affairs, but that's not where we're at. That's not where I'm at right now, and obviously we've got to deal with what we've been dealt, the cards that we've been dealt, and so I'm going to hold her accountable for the job, and uh, you know there needs to be some changes. There needs to be a change, a cultural change within Veterans Affairs to say our job is to look after veterans, and what is it that we can do? And the answer should be yes all the time. And then um, if there's something that's an anomaly or that doesn't work out or that you have questions, okay, then let's deal with it. but it seems to be that there's as soon as you sign into MyVac and then you start going to get help, it just seems to be that there's a lot of issues. And a lot of veterans are dealing with that. And as I said earlier on, I had two veterans in. One's the one that's helping the other veterans, and that's like that across Canada. I know
Oh
that.
yeah. Yeah.
I'm helping my friend. I'm helping my one of my teammates. I'm helping someone that I was, or there's a group of us and they're all talking, and then there's one that's trying to help them navigate through the paperwork.
So let's do some shout outs. And then you fill in the gaps if you know of any that I don't know. So there's very few people that can navigate the Veterans Affairs system for a few different reasons. One,
Hmm.
it's a labyrinth to begin with. So good fucking luck. Um, but next is because the goalposts are always moving.
Yeah.
So they constantly change the names of programs to improve it. Well, okay, maybe, but the names of the programs are always changing. The parameters are always changing. The scope is always changing. So the only way to keep track, because I haven't been able to keep track, but the only way to keep track is to have it as basically a full time job to figure out what the hell is the system and keep on top of the changes. So
Yeah.
there's volunteers all over the country called service officers, and some, not all legions, but some legions have service officers, and they're great. I started my healing journey with the service officers of Northwest Command, Alberta
Mm.
Northwest Territories Command in Calgary. Those two dudes were just fantastic. I know that I slag on the Legion here and there, but when it comes to the provincial commands, they're great, and the
Hmm.
service officer work is fantastic. So there's the veteran farmer is another one. I'm on the board of directors at the Veterans Association Food Bank. They have service officers, and they're wonderful. Alberta Recoil, another Calgary company, veteran run that that help you navigate Veterans Affairs and get your claims through. So Alberta Recoil, the Veteran Farmer, Veterans Association Food Bank, the Legions, and there are others.
Hmm.
Uh, any others popping into your head?
Well, I mean, you've covered quite a bit. There are so many organizations. I just, I think really it's the individuals that are helping their teammates out that don't get that shout out, and really we should be giving a shout out to them, that they're helping out like what we were talking about earlier on. But um, the more I the more I'm in this role, the more I'm, learning about veterans because I'm learning all the time. I don't, you know, I'm not, and with experience, your knowledge base does expand. But I'm learning more about other organizations that are out there helping people, with service dogs, with just Meals on Wheels type of operations. And there's more people that are going, there's an opportunity for me to help. Like that's what I love about the Canadian spirit is that there's people that are going, you know what, there's a need here, and I'm going to fill that by helping someone. And I've just had two people in my office in Ottawa just before we broke that are trying to come up with a veterans app to help veterans, to help them log and continue to, um, uh, uh, you know, monitor their progress through. So there's just so many groups that are, coming out there to help veterans. It's amazing. You know what? We should do that the next time we're on. I'm going to tell you what, I'm going to start logging all the veterans groups that I've dealt with that are out
Please
there to
do.
help veterans, and then we should do like a regular shout out on the next podcast if you're having me back.
Well, that's a big chunk of what this show does, right? I'm
Yeah,
an aggregate for all the different healing modalities and resources.
yeah,
So, um, most of them have been on the show. But what is crazy that even though I've been doing this for 7 years, over 360 episodes, there's a ton that I don't know, like
yeah.
a ton. So that's a nice segue, actually. Tell me about the onboarding that you've received. Well, I guess because you were deputy minister before, so like, so for the shadow minister,
Hmm.
for Michael Barrett, what type of onboarding is there for Michael to hit the ground running instead of having to reset the clock and start at zero again to learn everything over again? Like, what's
Oh,
the onboarding procedure?
you know what, I have full confidence in Michael. I think he's a rock star, someone that's why I'm excited to be working with him. Uh, First of all, he's been a shadow minister, right? So he understands the processes and procedures. So that's not going to change when you go from one committee to a different committee. That's not going to change. The second thing that gives him a foot up in coming into this role is that he is a veteran. So he understands the service mentality and veterans. And the third thing is, uh, I have a good working relationship with him, and I consider him a dear friend. And so uh, he's someone that will be open and say, okay, what do we need to do? What is it that we need to do, and where are we at? And like I said, we're trying to coordinate that and have a bit of a meeting. And he's a team player, so he's a guy that's going to be basically saying, okay, let's get our team on board. What are we going to be doing, and how are we going to be tackling, and what are the issues, right? And I'm pretty sure his group right now, his office staff are going through what's going on. There's probably been a bit of a handover from Blake, because that's the type of person Blake is. He's such a high quality guy. He's going to be basically saying, okay, let's transfer this file. Here's the issues that we're dealing with. This is what we see that's coming down the pike here, and you know, uh, if you've got anything, don't hesitate to call my office. But the good resources are Fraser and the existing board members. I do want to say one shout out here, Mark, because this has just
Please.
kind of come to my top of my mind. Kathy Wagenthal
Oh
um,
yeah,
has
we're gonna miss her.
yeah, has just recently you know um, made a difficult choice you know to retire. Someone who has been on the Veterans Committee much longer than I, who has served veterans, and she is going to
Longer
be
than
a loss.
anybody.
Yeah, yeah, and just a heart for veterans. A great woman, and I just uh, sometimes I just want to say probably be very underappreciated. And I've always appreciated working with Kathy. I've respected her, and so she's going to be a loss to our team. And that's again one of the reasons why I was very, very happy to stay on and to maintain the role within the Veterans Committee and to just continue helping veterans, and that's what I want to do. I want to help veterans. I don't want to be the one that's bitching and complaining all the time about the shit that's not getting done. I want it to get done. That's how I operate. I want to see successes, and right now I'm not seeing them, and that's making me very frustrated, and I don't like that. So I think one of the things that Michael's going to bring in is going to be a bit of a refreshing attitude and a renewed uh, you know uh, a renewed vigor to be able to go and just try and get things done for veterans.
Let's reach across the aisle for a moment. What's can you name something over? Because I think I can. Can you name something over the last few years that the Liberal government's done really well when it comes to Veterans Affairs? And then what's the biggest gap?
Hmm. I'm not trying to play a game here. I, you're going to have to come up with something that they've done for Veterans Affairs, that you feel that the goalposts moved. Um,
In the right direction?
yeah, yeah,
Well, the DEC program,
mm,
diminished earning capacity, that's what I'm on.
yeah,
And now, I tell you, I had to crawl over a wood chipper to get it. and it took me years, but
Yeah.
wasn't much left of me by the time I was done. It was brutal,
Hmm.
but I got it. And because of that, I have veteran benefits that allow me to be okay,
That's good.
right?
Yeah.
They allow me to be okay. Without them, I'd be screwed
Hmm.
because I just don't have the ability to hold like a regular normal job. I
Yeah.
don't. There's things that I'm really good at, that I'm strong at. Um, but soon as there's any conflict, like a boss that's being a bit of a dick or a coworker that's dishonest or anything like that, I don't have the ability to handle that. I
Yeah.
just don't. And that's a lot of us,
Yeah.
right? So in respecting that, I have DEC, diminished earning capacity, and those benefits are enough that I can live.
Yeah.
You know, I can pay the bills
Good.
and I can get by, and I'm very grateful for it. So that hasn't always been around.
Yeah.
Um, in general, the benefits that exist are pretty decent. It's just access to them that are really, really brutal.
Yeah.
The which is what we were talking about earlier. Um, and for gaps, it's the same word, access. It's not the programs, it's the access to the programs. And I think probably the biggest gap with this government is, and I don't know why it is, and maybe it's just my perception, maybe it's not a fair assessment, but from what I've seen, example after example, from the previous prime minister not showing up at Remembrance Day ceremonies, I think he showed up out of like 1 out of 6, something like that.
Hmm.
And when he did, showed up late, you know, um, there just seems to be a disdain, not even a lack of respect, but a disdain, almost a hate for veterans from our current government. Uh, whether it's the Remembrance Day ceremonies that um, the ceremony while I was in Ottawa, I wasn't at the ceremony, but it was there the same day I was
I
there.
know where you're going with this.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
the Afghanistan
Yeah.
memorial, the groundbreaking ceremony with no Afghanistan veterans and no families have fallen.
Yeah.
Like none of the stakeholders were there.
Yeah.
None.
I know. I know.
What the frick was that?
Yeah. Okay.
Horrendous.
I'm gonna be brutally honest with you, and I'm just this the gloves are off. Fraser told me the gloves are off. Here we go.
Okay, buddy,
You know,
let her rip.
the old I'll share a story with you. It's later on. It's about my Scottish heritage and
But do you agree that there's kind of that this government kind of has a disdain for
yeah.
veterans? Is that
Okay.
that's
So
what it feels like?
let's talk government. Okay.
Okay, all
Let's
right.
talk government. When you're looking at the books or you're looking at what you're doing, um, it's you never have respect for the police. You never have respect for the the fire. You never have respect for the emergency services, the ambulance. You never have respect for the military, and you never have respect for the veterans. Why is that? Because they don't see a rate of return, right? They don't
Mm,
see a rate of return, and they've they we've seen this government squeeze on the military, and now they're being called out by our neighbors and allies around the world saying you're not paying up, right? Okay. So now what I think we should be doing is if you're going to increase your military spending, you should be increasing your veterans budget because if you're going to be expanding military and everything that's going along with that, that should also translate into Veterans Affairs because we're going to have more problems on the tail end. So let's get prepared for that. This government's not doing that. Okay. Now, I am uh, someone who likes to deal with things that other people don't want to deal with. That's why I like veterans. I like dealing with Veterans Affairs because everybody thinks it's a shit role. And I think that's the best place to start in order to fix the issues uh, in governance and in our country. And I look at it as an opportunity. I look at it as as no one else wants to deal with that. Let's go and deal with it. What's so hard about it? Let's fix
Why
this.
is it considered the toilet bowl prize
I do
being
not
the
know. I again, I
like
think it's
what's up with
because
that?
I think it's because, well, okay, again, it's like well, um it's the mentality of the present government that said they're asking too much. I don't think
Yeah,
we're
you're
at,
asking for more than we can give.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And guess what? He delivered on his promise. That prime minister delivered on his promise. And I've that's where I've seen this rise in um, veterans standing up saying we deserve more. We're there's in it's the system's so hard. So when you're treating someone badly, they're going to respond, and that's what we're hearing within the veterans community is that they've been ignored and neglected, and that's what that prime minister uh, 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 basically said. And that's where I had a conversation with their leader, and I said, I don't want to be that guy. I don't want to be um, the one that's going to betray veterans. I'm not going to do that. I want to be in this role. I want to stay in this role because they deserve some stability. They deserve loyalty. And that's what we need to do as a country. And I'd like to go in and fix the system and to be able to change it and say, we've accomplished, we might not, if we're at 60%, because there are great, uh, uh, you know, um, people within Veterans Affairs that are helping, you know. But if we could get up to 90%, 95%, because you're never going to have a perfect system, I would love to shoot for that, but I don't know why we're not. We're happy to go down to 50%, and I don't think that that's the right fucking attitude. And excuse my language. Sorry,
On
listeners.
this
I
show,
apologize.
it's
I
okay.
will be saying that in church on
You may have
Sunday.
noticed
Yeah,
you may have noticed a few F bombs from me already.
yeah, well, but it's not it I used to get myself through university. I was in the restaurant business, and I learned that you make sure you have a clean toilet, because then when you have a clean toilet, people know that you've got a clean kitchen, and that's what we need to do. And that's the way I look at how we can have change our attitude towards veterans. Let's not make it a bad committee. Let's make it a good committee. Let's accomplish things, and let's not just make announcements that don't go anywhere. Let's actually um, put things in place that really affect veterans, that you can actually see accomplishments and successes, and let's celebrate those successes. That's the way that's where my attitude is at. And that's, anyways, I went off on a tangent.
So I'd like your thoughts on this. I've got a theory, and I believe that the reason that veterans, first responders are the toilet bowl prize, that I don't think it's just because there's not a return on investment. I think there's a deep psychological reason for it. Well, let's look at our First Nations as the example. I think there's a tie in here. So it doesn't matter where colonization happens. In every country where colonization happens, the indigenous people that don't need a government are destroyed systematically,
Mm-hmm.
right? Their culture, everything. And I believe that the reason that First Nations cultures are and people are destroyed from a psychological perspective is because that they are a symbol that we don't need government. Like under certain circumstances in a tribal system, you don't need the government.
Mm-hmm.
You don't need a mommy and a daddy to look after you. Like we can put our pants on by ourselves. Like
Hmm.
we're okay. We can go get food ourselves, hunters and gatherers. So because of that symbol of independence, every indigenous population has been destroyed, not just physically, but emotionally, symbolically.
Hmm.
So instead of being a symbol of independence that we can live off the land, they're a symbol of something negative instead of something positive. So that same kind of psychology, I think, applies to veterans and first responders and tradespeople. I think it's why the East shits on Alberta as much as they do, right? Oh, those bunch of rednecks, a bunch of backwards, uneducated rednecks. Yeah, well, that's not true.
Yeah.
But we can put our pants on by ourselves.
Yeah.
You know, we can stay out and play after the street lights go out. We don't have to come home. You know, we don't need the helicopter parents.
Yeah.
We don't need mommy and daddy to tuck us in at night. We're good. We're independent. We're strong, and that is resented.
Hmm.
So I believe that the urban folks that if the lights go out, they would shit their pants. If they get a flat tire, they have to call 911. You know, that they might own a socket set but have no idea how to use it.
Yeah.
You know, if their brakes are squeaking, they panic and they wonder if it was the muffler. Like people that can do absolutely nothing for themselves resent those that can do everything for themselves, like our farmers, right? A farmer has to be able to be a mechanic, a
Yeah.
surgeon, a veterinarian, a welder, and a carpenter all at the same time. You got to learn it all. And for the people that can't even pick a sliver out of their finger, if they even ever had a sliver, out of their tender little pinkies with zero calluses, when they shake the hands of a man who's got a hand 3 times the size of their hand and is rough and thick, uh, instead of going, "Hey, thanks for being strong and doing the tough stuff," they go, "You're just a slob. You're a redneck. You're some pejorative,"
Hmm.
and that's what I think it is. And some evidence towards that is all the people, and you've met them, right? When somebody finds out that you served, Fraser, how many times have somebody said, "Well, I almost served. I thought about serving." Well, guess what? That doesn't count.
Hmm.
Thinking about it or almost doing it is like being kind of pregnant. Like you are or you are not. Like you didn't,
Yeah.
right? Thinking about it isn't the same as doing it.
Yeah.
And it's the same kind of crowd that resents those that did and that can.
Hmm.
That's those are my thoughts. I'd love to get Jordan Peterson on the show to see what he thinks about that
Yeah.
my theory.
Well, I'm not gonna lie. You had me chuckling because I just listen. I want to say this to all the Easterners that are watching this. Look, I came from the East, and I know that that there are you know that there are those that have served and that they don't. Not all of them look at the West the same way. They want to be part of one nation, and they're very concerned about how this country is being divided. And but I'm going to say two things. First of all, I'm going to buy myself a plunger,
Nice.
and I'm going to put that in my office after this podcast, and I'm going to use that as a reminder of the job that I have ahead of me. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do that. I'm going to get that and just remind myself that this is a job that maybe nobody wants, and I'm willing to do it, and I'm willing to have it. So next time you're in Ottawa or you're in Moose Jaw, I'm gonna have a plunger for each office. I'm gonna go and do that today. And the second thing is I don't disagree with you with the mommy daddy state thing, and and I think that's where uh, we see a lot of people, they have a lot of confidence in the government. I mean, look, I'm a member of parliament. My job is to go and to represent people, right? Uh, but I just we're not always getting our voices heard, and that's what I'm seeing within Veterans Affairs is the voices that are not being heard, the voices that are being frustrated, or the voices that like we talked about at the beginning of the show, where um, they're just giving up because they just don't want to do the paperwork anymore. And so we just gotta you know pull our bootstraps up and get out there and help those that are not you know that are at the point of giving up. I don't want to give up on my country. I don't want to give up on my veterans, and I don't want to give up on the people of my community, my province, or my country. And so I believe in a stronger Canada, and I really want to see that happen for us. And I think we've got to look at the things that unite us, and it's more than just a flag. You know, it's more than symbols. It's what do we have in common, and then how do we help each other out? And that's what I love about the military. They help each other out. I want to share one story with you about farmers and military, and I want to link it together. My cousin who served and was in Croatia, was out east when the ice storms. They were out, helping in Quebec years ago. If you remember that, when everything was kind of shut down, and their vehicle broke down. So they walked to this farmhouse in Quebec, and there was this old Polish farmer, like you said, mitts on him like you wouldn't believe. He invites them in. There was a language barrier. He puts on some soup, and they're eating some soup, and then he goes out and fixes their truck so that it could run. I'm like, isn't that awesome? He just seems like it was just an amazing event. It was one of his, waxing lyrical about being in the military and things that he had done. Farmers are very, very, they're very what's the word that I'm looking for? Their ingenuity is
Yeah.
unbelievable. Their entrepreneurial spirit is unbelievable. The way that they've got to plant seed and then just pray to God that the weather's going to be fine, make sure bugs aren't going to be there, and then, hoping that what they've planted is going to be bought, at the end of the year, and how they were going to figure that to get that to market, and then, going and harvesting it. It's not easy. I see it. See it all around me.
I live in a rural area. I live about 20 minutes from Stettler, and I love it so much because the people are just so
Yeah,
great. When I was building my house, like physically, I was the guy building it.
yeah,
Me and my best buddy, we framed it. But there's a couple of really, really big, tall wall panels that we had to set up, like 20 feet
yeah,
tall, kind of the deal.
yeah,
All the neighbors showed up,
yeah,
right? So all the
yeah,
neighbors showed up like
yeah,
a barn raising,
yeah,
to get the two impossible panels and smash them into place.
yeah,
It, like, people just show up and help
yeah,
because you need the help,
yeah,
and I love my neighbors so much,
yeah,
you
yeah.
know.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, that's what I love my neighborhood. I've got neighbors that when I'm away, because we're in Ottawa, I come home and my front yards, my driveway's plowed, you know, and then when I'm home, because some of my neighbors are elderly, I'll return the favor, or take garbage out for people, and make sure that check in on
Things that
them.
don't happen in a big city.
Yeah, I love it. I absolutely love it. I was
Yeah.
shooting the shit with my next door neighbor. He's an ex-104 fighter pilot, and I'm like, we're talking about planes, and then his wife comes in, and she knows I'm a single dad. She's put together a care package for me at Christmas for cookies and
Oh
stuff like
man.
that for my daughters, and I'm like, okay, you got to refill that every year for me. She goes, oh, Fraser, you're on my list, and so it's great. It's absolutely great. Yeah. Anyways.
What's the biggest issue facing the veteran community right now? Like, if you had a magic wand and you could fix it, or better yet, if you were the minister right now,
Mm.
if conservatives were in power, you were the minister. What's the top two, maybe three things that you would change right now?
Uh, I would go with low hanging fruit. I would go
Okay.
with I would go with some low hanging fruit. I would bring I would do what I did when I was mayor. I would bring everybody in and I'd say, okay, this is where I want to go. I want to make this the best department that we have in government. And I want us to look at the small things. What are the number one complaints that uh, we're hearing about? Okay, what's the easy fix on that? Let's get that sorted out. Second thing is I would look at the fact that we've got government that when everybody talks about, you said about mommy daddy state, right? Everybody looks at government and they think government, and they don't understand why we've got different departments that are siloed. Okay, so we've got a veteran that goes and says, okay, I've got PTSD. VAC puts it down, they've got PTSD. Every 2 years, CRA has to have proof that you have PTSD for your taxes. Let's get rid of that. Let's talk interoperability between our own government and say, okay, if that's in this, if that's happens within Veterans Affairs, then that should happen within CRA. We shouldn't be re-traumatizing someone when they're doing their taxes every 2 years or every 3 years, whatever it is. Let's fix that. Okay? Let's change the attitude. Let's change the culture. Let's start understanding that we're there to help, and we're there to, and okay, find me ways to be able to get veterans to the finish line. That's what I would be doing. And I would be I'd be looking at the contracts, you know, and I would be interviewing veterans, and I wouldn't be the ones that the bureaucrats would be bringing forward to me. It would be veterans across the country, and I'd be going, okay, ones that have been denied, not ones that have been successful, the ones that have been denied. What happened? And then I'd have bureaucrats sitting there going, well, explain this to me. Why are we having this? Okay, what's the obstacle there? Then how do we fix that for veterans? Not this, oh, let's take a tour around and you feel, you smell the fresh paint because you've done it because the minister's there. Let's get into the toilet bowl. Let's find out what's going on. Okay, you know what? And if we're going to be there for 20 hours, let's do the 20-hour meeting just to get things done. Okay, what are the takeaways? Can we translate that into new policy so that we can fix this? Communicate it, communicate, communicate, communicate to all the people within Veterans Affairs. That's how you change the culture. That's how you get it fixed. That's how we do it in the military.
Yesterday, when I was speaking with Nishka Jardine, um, I was talking about Sergeant retired Mike Rood, friend of mine, been on the show a couple times. He got a letter from Veterans Affairs saying, "Oh, oopsie, oopsie doodle, we overpaid you just a teensy weensy bit. Now you have to pay back $101,000.
Yeah,
$101,000."
yeah,
Um, but in Nishika's office, they found that a lot of people that got these letters, they did some digging and went, "Oh, sorry, our mistake. Oopsie, you don't actually owe it." Now they're clawing back $600 a month from Mike. From your position as deputy shadow minister, is there anything you can do to intervene in that? Or, I mean, why are veterans paying for the mistake of VAC?
yeah. Yeah, it's um, That you did share that with me prior to this podcast, and I shared that with my staff, and I said, this is crazy. Um, I I don't like this. I don't like mistakes like this, and I don't. $600 in this day and age is insane. Like that's crippling.
Well, you're not exactly Scrooge McDuck when you're on veteran benefits, you know. So to take such a big chunk, to take anything is a big damn deal. I mean, six
Well,
hundred bucks. That's a car payment on a $40,000 car.
here's the thing: is okay. You look at it as the $600 that you've got to pay back, but you don't have that as an income anymore, right? So it's not just a $600 hit; it's a $1,200 hit because you don't have that money. Thought you were entitled to that money, right? You thought you've built your uh, you know yearly or monthly budget on that as an income, and now you don't have that coming in, and now you've got to pay that back. So it's like a double hit. Like if you were getting $600 in benefits, now you're not getting that. So you're now down $600, and now you've got to pay that 600 back. It's a lot of money for people. That. So I mean I would have to understand the details of everything that went on with that. But I mean I just don't like hearing about that. I don't like people being treated like that. That's how veterans are being treated.
Uh, there is the first time I testified in Ottawa. The first time, my opening line, Fraser, was that I'm here under duress because I am concerned that me standing up and saying what I'm about to say could affect my veteran benefits.
Yeah.
I'm worried about losing my benefits as retaliation um, for being here today. That's a legitimate fear. Now, in the case of Mike Rood, Mike has been very vocal about pro trucker convoy, the ostrich farm, and other issues, right? Saying this is wrong. Like the way that these people are treated is wrong. And so it's almost as if you're a criminal if you disagree.
Hmm.
Um, and this isn't the first thing that's happened to Mike. The first thing that happened last year is just before Christmas. His monthly check didn't come in. Like I like at the end of the month, I don't got a lot left over, if anything, right? Like I need those checks to be on time,
Hmm.
and his didn't come in, and they said, "Oh yeah, oopsie, sorry, we'll just double up in January." So in Christmas month, you get zero, but we'll
Yeah.
double up in January, no biggie. Well, I was in I had a good contact with Jeanette Petitpas Taylor at the time,
Yeah.
and within 24, I used my I played that card. I got a hold of Jeanette's people, and within 24 hours, it was fixed, and Mike got paid. But I mean, the stress of those 3 days would be something like all of a sudden you can't even move your truck.
Yeah.
You can't even fill up your gas tank. Like you're stuck in December,
Yeah.
and and I wonder if it's not intentional
Hmm.
retaliation because he is an outspoken voice.
Uh, you know what? I I don't know how these guys operate. I'm just going to be honest with you, and I'll share a story with you. I had a conversation with the leader, Pierre Polyev, uh, you know, uh, several months back, and I said, Pierre, they're going to cancel the snowbirds. And he goes, what are they thinking? And I said, I don't know. I'm not on their side. I don't operate the same way as these guys do. Pierre, I'm on this side, And there's a reason why I'm on this side, because believe in freedom and, liberty. And and he goes, wow. I said, so we've got to fight this, right? I don't know how these guys operate, right? But I think that they can operate within their own system, but it's not something that is within my value set. So I wouldn't put it past uh, that um, that there's legitimate fears for veterans who are concerned about their benefits, um, and I don't know how to answer it, because I'm not a liberal, and I'm not on their side of the floor. But every time I'm trying to deal with veteran stuff, there's a shutdown. There's a let's well no, everything's fine, and then what happens is they start making fun of you and mocking you for your stand. And I'm like, look, I'm trying to bring something forward here. I'm trying to ask for something, and I'm seeing that with the snowbirds. Uh, uh, I know firsthand that the Tudor jets can fly beyond 2030. We could go down to a seven-person team. Okay, now uh, they have decided as a political move to cancel them. They're canceling the snowbirds after 2026. So the people in Manitoba won't get to see them because the Manitoba Air Show has been canceled. The uh, people in Ottawa didn't get to see them because they were weathered out on Canada Day. Uh, there's other air shows that are being canceled. This is a unifying thing, but they're mocking it, and they're like, "Oh, the airplanes are unworthy." Well, if the airplanes were unworthy, then why are you flying them now? You know? So I don't understand the way that these guys operate. Um, and
Well, it's a symbol of national pride. Of course, you have to destroy it.
Well, and that's it. That's one of the things that's unifying is and then we're like, here's the other thing. These airplanes that they're saying that they're going to replace them with, which are propeller airplanes, which I totally disagree with.
Oh, you're
Uh,
kidding.
oh, yeah, absolutely. They're putting them in the Siskin 2 airplane, it's a great trainer. It is a fantastic trainer, top of the line trainer, superior to the Harvard that we're flying right now, no doubt about it. But you're going to have U.S. Thunderbirds or Blue Angels come into air shows, and they're going to be flying their jets, and then we're going to come along with prop airplanes in a formation, and that's going to be so underwhelming. And
Yeah,
and
and then they're going to swap them out for biplanes.
it's so. But here's the thing: they 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 were scrambling. They were trying to hide this. Okay, so I stood up, question period. The minister scrambled out of there, then said he was going to make an announcement the following or 2 weeks later. It was the May weekend. Uh, and then they paraded the military out in front of the camera and said, basically, you're not going to have a job as a snowbird next year. That's how they treat their military. I don't like to treat our military like that. That's disgusting. And
Skyhawks will be next.
and well, I'm not. I wouldn't argue that, right? But they go and do this, and I go, well, I don't understand the mentality there. Like, the time that we need to be flying our flag and the time that our sovereignty is being challenged, that's when you want to have your symbols. That's when you say, this is who we are as Canadians. This is what we do, and the excellence and professionalism of that team and the Skyhawks. I saw the Skyhawks a couple of weeks ago. They were here in Moose Jaw. We got to continue to keep that going. But what the minister hasn't done is been upfront. He's not told the truth. He was trying to hide that. They were trying to hide the fact that they weren't going to have the snowbirds flying, right? Because in when you go to the air show convention, they book, so the Thunderbirds and Blue Angels were booked for 2027 air shows. The snowbirds weren't. So when they were asked about that, no answer. And
Like,
and
if
that
you're making the right decision, you shouldn't be ashamed of your decision. Like if you're making the right decision, you don't hide it.
Absolutely. So then they go and make this announcement. But what was the announcement? Well, we're going to replace them with Siskin. They haven't got a contract. They don't have a contract. They uh, they haven't told you that the airplanes are backlogged on order for other nations. So this isn't going to happen for years to come. And they're saying it's going to be a pause. Well, no, it's not. And if you've spent $30 million upgrading the Tudor jet to keep them flying beyond 2030, you've already spent that money. Keep them flying. And what they're saying, well, we've just canceled on some of the airplanes now. Well, guess what? The money that they've committed to those contractors, they're going to be getting paid to do nothing. So it's again another waste of good Canadian taxpayer. So let's go back to the original thought. How do these guys operate? I don't know. I don't understand how they continue to make bad decisions all the time and get away with it. And people, it's slow erosion of who we are, our identity, and the things that matter to Canadians. And in 5 years' time, when you go to an air show and the snowbirds aren't there and whatever's going on, you're going to wonder why the military can't recruit. Uh, and you're going to go, hey, remember when we used to have the snowbirds? Yeah, it's insanity. Just
Well,
just keep it
Trudeau
going.
said himself more than once, we're a post-national state now. So, like, what does that mean? What does that mean when he said that?
Yeah.
Does it mean that Canada isn't Canada anymore? Because that's kind of what it feels like.
Well, I will say this, uh, and I've shared this publicly as well. I spoke to Bill Blair. I spoke to the previous Minister of National Defense, and I said, you know, Bill, I'm concerned about the snowbirds. He goes, when I was minister, Trudeau told me get new jets. That's what he said to me. So Trudeau understood the importance of the snowbirds. And that's the conversation I had with Bill in the House of Commons. I had walked across, I was chatting with him, and I said, "What's going on with the snowbirds?" Because I hadn't heard from the minister. The minister, I sent a letter, hadn't 6 months, and I'm like, this isn't going the way that I. And then I started doing some investigation, and then I had some people calling me, and yeah, and I just don't understand it. So I you don't want Jill McKnight as the Minister of Veterans Affairs, and I don't want McGuinty as the Minister of National Defense because I think he's doing a useless job.
On Jill, so talking with Nishka yesterday, she said that Jill doesn't actually run back. The deputy minister runs back. Is that right?
Sorry, she said that the minister doesn't run back.
Yeah, she said the minister didn't run back. That the deputy minister runs back.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't probably disagree with Nishka, but if you've got the title for minister, I think you should have your oar in the water. And
So
and
who is the deputy minister?
let's not even go there.
Okay.
Let's just focus on good things. Let's end this podcast on some positive notes, and then we'll circle back for another
All
time.
right. Sounds good. I'll look it up.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Anyways,
fair
thank.
enough.
Hey, listen, I got to say this has been a very therapeutic session for me. I appreciate it. You're making me feel better.
Well, Fraser, thanks for all the work that you do. What's the number one topic that you're working on right now that you're pushing for change?
Well, I know that you follow our committee meetings closely, and I think the biggest issue I've had was PCBRS recently, and the fact that the independent review was not going to be an independent review, and I pushed back on the minister and I said, uh, uh, you know, can we pick who's going to be on that review? and she said no, and I think we should have, because I think we would have got a better assessment. So we're going to be pushing, and I want to see what that review of PCVRS has to show, because when we sat in that committee meeting, I couldn't tell the difference between, Veterans Affairs, PCVRS. It was like they were hand in glove. They were, you know, I couldn't tell who was the contractor and 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 who was paying the bills. They all seemed to be one. So, can PCVRS be improved? Are they going to change them? Are they going to renew the contract? That's the questions that we're going to be dealing with this fall.
Yeah,
And,
and who's getting the kickbacks from? I know you can't say it, but I can say it. Somebody's getting some kickbacks somewhere for that PCVRS contract. It makes no sense
yeah,
to outsource Veterans Affairs. It makes no sense.
no,
So, like, whose idea was that, and whose bank account got fatter as a result?
yeah,
Somebody's did.
yeah. Well, that's another podcast.
Yeah. All right, boss.
Hey,
Uh,
thanks so much.
come back anytime.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, next time, make sure you hold me accountable that I've got the plunger in the office.
All right, Fraser. I really appreciate it. Stay on the line. You're listening to Operation Tango Romeo, the Trauma Recovery Podcast. If you found any value today, please share like the sugar bear, because sharing is caring. It really helps out the show. You want to help to save lives and relieve pain by making access to resources easily accessible? Share, like, comment, and subscribe and follow. It means a lot, and it can help somebody else find this show to find the resources that they need. You could save a life. Share, save a life. That's the ask. Thanks, everybody.